All right, guys, we're
Come on,
live.
good lighting.
We're live. Yeah, there we go. There we go. There we go. Hello, guys.
Hey, what up?
Welcome to episode 10. It's been 10
Turn
episodes.
up,
We haven't seen
man.
10.
We've only posted 2 of them, but
Right. We posted 2 of them, but if we actually got together 10 times to discuss life
Oh,
and suffering well.
because we're suffering.
I'm not doing take it about
Everybody.
it. So, if you haven't got the gist of it, we are a family that's all centered around love, faith, and that's probably like the big ones: love and faith.
that's about it.
Careers, advancement,
Transparency
um,
and
so
growth.
personal growth. Yeah, so that's all in there.
I get
All of it.
our family is
So
centered
one
on
of
all of
our
that.
favorite,
Struggle, suffering.
Lying.
right?
I'm playing. I'm kidding.
Betrayal, all that jazz.
Right?
Yes. Bowling.
Ooh, let me clutch my pearls, chat.
Church.
Clutching
So
my pearls.
last week we didn't get the post stars because Jordan was left off. So we're gonna hope that this time Jordan is left on, so we can actually post this one. If not, we're just not gonna post it again.
Y'all know why it wasn't on there. I told y'all. Y'all wouldn't believe me.
So today we are going to be talking about forgiveness and repentance. And repentance is like an outdated word, so it's like saying sorry. But it's like sorry like to like the nth degree, where it's like extra sorry to the point where you actually do something about it. That's what we really want to talk about. Not just like, I'm sorry, but like that Mr. Brown type of sorry, where you raise your hands and you push it like this. I'm sorry. We're going to talk about that type of
God.
Come on for the details.
Mr. Brown?
That was a good one.
It was, wasn't it? In just context, I messed up in like my marriage. Like I messed up in a lot of things, but I messed up, and I'm paying for it now. In a sense of I've repented, so I said sorry, but it's either too late or it's too early. It's too late in a sense that it's over, curtains closed, or it's too early in a sense that you're not going to see real change because the sting is still there. So the realization for me, and it's the process I'm going through right now is it sucks. It really does, but it sucks because I hurt the person I love, and now they're just like they're hurt. So like I have to like deal with it and take whatever comes with it, and in the process, it's like I'm hurt. You hurt me. I'm hurt. You hurt me. I hurt me. It's like no, I really do. I get it. I see it, and it's like hurt. You hurt me, and then it's like you hurt me this way. You hurt me this way. You hurt me this way, and it's like I get it. I see it. I'm sorry, and it's every single day, and it's like. What does forgiveness look like? And in the process of forgiving, and so I can't forgive. I can forgive myself, but that's not really going to change my situation. And you got it working. What's going to really change the situation is her forgiving me. So I think we could talk about, and that's just like where it hits home for me as we talk about forgiveness, what it looks like, and what comes with repentance. You know, is it taking, like if I hurt you, do I just take whatever comes after it? I don't know. So let's talk.
I think this is so interesting because me and you have had a conversation like this, but it was like reverse, as in you were the person who was hurt, and then you were like withholding repentance until like you had all these stipulations in order for you to like forgive somebody but now that the tables are turned, now your perspective is a little different. I think that's interesting. But
what?
me and you talked about forgiveness, you were more like you need to do this, this, and this, and it was like more stipulations to receive forgiveness as opposed to now. I think it's interesting. Like when we've done wrong, we want forgiveness to happen immediately. We want it
Right.
to look like this, and it needs to happen. But when the tables are turned, it's like no, I'm going to hold this until you. It's just a double standard for forgiveness, and it
But
could
we
be
always
just
look.
as human nature we have that. But I think that's interesting.
I think we always
Um,
look at forgiveness, whether it's on the receiving or
You
the
want to play
giving
it? You
end.
can
We
go to this
always
line.
look at it from our own perspective, and we never
mhm.
consider the other person's perspective, their experience, or what their needs are. Like everybody is different, so however they need to receive forgiveness, or their process through it is always different. And it's so interesting how I think as human beings we are just naturally like selfish, and so everything we look at it from our lens, and it's important for us to, especially in those forgiveness moments when it involves another person, then you have to look at it from the other person's lens to understand the process and what their needs are for forgiveness. Um,
And that's whether you're forgiving or needing forgiveness.
yes,
Like either or is looking at the other person's point of view.
I
I
think it's
agree.
important too. I think that's anytime you engage with when there's something between you and another person, it's always important to consider. It doesn't mean that that has to be like you use their perspective as your the roadmap to get wherever you're going, but I think it's important to consider the other person's perspective and everything that they bring to that particular instance. Um, but it's really hard to, especially when like you're the person who's done wrong. I think it's really hard to, because you're like, oh, I am really sorry. Like I'm sorry. Like I'm really sorry. Just like we did. Like Mr. Brown, he was like, I'm really sorry. But like, I think you can really tell the intent and belief of a person's sorry. Because I think sorry is just like love. It's a word, but it's more action than it is actual words.
I agree.
And I'm I'm gonna like say like I don't. So Jordan, it's interesting because I just want to come back at what you said. It's like I'm not saying that her forgiveness has to look a certain type of way. Um, just the question is this forgiveness? Is this the process? Because this is the process. I'll bear with it. I'll go through it. But if it's not the process, and I'm curious, just really what is it?
I don't.
And is this a um, is this what it looks like? Is the process of forgiveness? Is it you know cleaning
Being
out?
thrown up in your face. And,
Yeah, that's my question. If it is, then I'm like, okay, like I know now. Like I said it today. I was talking to.
do you throw it up in people's face? Have you like when someone's hurt you? Do you throw it up in their face before you forgive them? If you look at people who you've been hurt by, do you throw it up in their face?
That's a good question. Let's keep going, and I'll be thinking about it.
Okay.
I think so. I think forgiveness. I think the process of forgiveness is probably really similar to the process of grief. How you have like
Process
different
of what?
grief.
Okay.
Talk
So
louder.
you have different stages of grief that you go through. You
Hmm.
go through denial. You go through anger. You go through sadness.
Bargaining. Yeah.
Bargaining. You go. Then you finally get to acceptance at the end. And I don't know if forgiveness is the same process, but I think forgiveness, I don't know when, like, just sitting here thinking about it, I think you have to die to the way you felt about the situation. So, say, for instance, I'm trying to think of something I had to forgive somebody for. So, say, I guess, the topic of relationship. So, somebody hurts you, like, that feeling is real. That feeling, like, that hurt is, like, real. That hurt has to die in order for you to move from it. So, you may have to go through grief, like you may have to go through the entire process of grief just to like get over your feelings. So like, oh man, I have to what is the first, I don't know what the first stage of grief is. Like whatever the first stage is, you go
I'm
through all
googling.
you do you what?
I'm gonna Google it.
Like you
And it's
blame
like five
yourself,
processes.
go through blame, you go
You
through
try to
like, and like
bargain. Like yeah.
how do they do this to me? And then you just get angry and be like, they ain't worth shit. And then you get sad. And I
I
think
think the first
forgiveness
stage is denial. Yeah.
Denial, anger, bargaining,
Bargain
depression,
and
acceptance.
acceptance. Yeah.
yeah, so like denial phase is probably like, yo, it ain't happened.
This
Like
really didn't
this
happen.
ain't through, and then the next whatever. I think my argument would be you have to go through grief, like the 5 stages of grief, and the fifth stage, acceptance, in this case, will be forgiveness. So like once you accept the situation, you're able to move forward. That would be when you're ready for forgiveness. But until you've gone through all those stages, I don't know if you're ever really forgave the person.
And I agree, and I don't know if they go through the same. They don't have to go through the same order,
Right.
But I think they're going to happen. You're going to see those.
And that's why I don't think you can really
take
answer
longer than others.
What'd you say, Randy?
Would you say?
Some of them may take others, like your bargaining may take 5 seconds, where anger may last a year. Like it looks different for everybody, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't think you can really answer the question, Bub, because it is really dependent on who the person is and what the situation is, and it's also the reoccurrence too. Like,
yeah, the feeling side behind.
Like if you just experienced 3 deaths, like it's completely different than if you just experienced one person who dies. Like,
same as if it was expected versus if it was all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm. I think all those conditions and factors play into the process of healing, which is the same thing of forgiveness. Like all that plays into the process of forgiveness. Like it doesn't just look one way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's
and
also
I think that it's important. I think real quick, like Jordan said, like we also need to like at some point look at ourselves and acknowledge the fact of like how we go through receiving someone's forgiveness, because I will be the first to say like there has been times where I want you to acknowledge what you did wrong. I want you to list out all the reasons why you did it, and then I want you to prove that you're worth me forgiving you. Like going through all this unnecessary stuff, but then when I want to be forgiven, I just want you to say, right now, I'm sorry, and then be like, okay, cool, we good. Like, all right, perfect, we good. And it just like that's so crazy because when the table was turned, I had a whole thesis that I had to write, but you just think you can just come to class and we good. Like, how does that work? And so I think it's important for us to also look at ourselves. That's why I think self-evaluation is really good. I'm working on it while I'm single. But I think it's good for us to really evaluate ourselves, because that also plays into how we're able to, in the progression of our forgiveness. Because if you're not good with yourself, like it's going to take a really, really long time, and you probably won't even forgive for real. It'd be like you put it to the back of your head, you ain't really forgiving. If you're not like really good with yourself.
Yeah, but I think for me, it's like if you're forgiving me, that's like the process you're on. Like I would just want to know, like I'm on a process to forgive you. Some days are going to be better than worse, but I'm going to be like this in it, right? Like I feel like that's like at the end of the day, it's you don't forgive someone and destroy the relationship. I guess it's I'm forgiving you so that we can become a resemblance of what we once were. So I think that it's some of that, but then the other question becomes like, so you're healing, you're forgiving. So what happens if in your process of healing you hurt other people? Does it not count? Is it a free pass to do what you want and feel what you want because you're in the process of healing? Like
so
that's
answer your
like,
first question though, Bub.
Huh?
I forgot already.
Huh?
Yeah,
to your first question though, I think it's important to acknowledge the fact that forgiveness does not always mean to be restored back to the same place where you were. So although that might be your intent, it's not always the intent. Like sometimes you just have to forgive someone so that you can move forward in whatever direction that you move forward in. It doesn't mean that you're going to move forward together, like if you're looking at relationships. But sometimes I just need to move forward so that I can move away from this situation and just be good within myself. And sometimes your forgiveness, because a lot of times your forgiveness is really for yourself. Like it does not mean that you're always going to be like, okay, now we good, we back on my day one. Like sometimes that doesn't happen. It depends, like I said, on all of those factors. Like that got you to the point.
Petition, whether it was expected. I get that, but I think so, and we can have different definitions of forgiveness. That's perfectly fine. But for me, when our relationship is restored, that's reconciliation. That's all right. If we were on 10, you hurt me, I gotta forgive you. You have to say sorry. Now we can get back to 10. So in order to get back to 10, which is reconciliation, me, the person who has been offended, have to forgive. You, the person who's the defending, has to offend. But once we both done that, there's no reason why we can't get back to what originally was. That's what it
But
means.
that's only if your goal is to get back to.
Well, yeah, that's what I think. I think the point is that is the goal.
No,
That's
we want
to get back to
I
it.
thought that was the question. How do you know when that's the goal or not? Is
I
that
was
the
gonna
question?
say, yeah, because that's what to me. I mean, if you look at your situation specifically, Bub, like I can't say what the goal is because I ain't been in a conversation. But I think that if your goals are the same, then I think your point makes sense. But then I don't really understand what your concern is because
I
it
guess
sounds to me
not.
like you don't know if
Yeah.
y'all on the same page what the goal is.
I'm gonna. Can I respond to the second part of the question as like, within your healing process? Within your healing process, you sometimes hurt others. So I think, as cliche as it sounds, like hurting people hurt people. So I think the person who has the offended, have to be conscious hurt other people, but it's going to be very likely that they hurt other people because it's likely that you get consumed in your own hurt and that you don't really have any impact. But for the person who did the offending, you have to then show grace to that person because you know that the hurt is not coming from like a place of, I don't know, like it's like intentionality. Like you know, it's a hurting person hurting you. It's not somebody completely whole who's completely sane, and that you can then take like, oh, you know what, you can't offend me because you're completely rational. Like generally people when going through that process of forgiving, they're not really rational. So I feel like you have to then extend grace and say, you know what, you probably just all the shade in the world, but I'm not going to take it personal because I know you're working through something. Like you can't expect somebody who's going through a breakdown, like if somebody going through a breakdown hurts you, you then can't get mad at them for hurting you as a result of their breakdown. Like I feel like we should show, you have to show grace in that situation. Like expect them to hurt you during the process, and then you
Can
just need
I?
to show grace and be able to move forward.
Go
Mm, I'm gonna take an approach from a person who has reason, like who's been the herder. Like say you've been hurt. Like I would say, like in my relationship with my father, particularly, I think I've been hurt, and I think it's one thing to sit back and wait for the other person to take initiative. Would some people do that? But I don't think forgiveness has to start with the person repenting. I think oftentimes, as you've been offended, like you can. I don't feel like you like. I don't think there's a. I don't think you have to respond to hurt like we always see it. Like I don't think you have to. Like that process of grieving, denial, all that stuff. I think it's common, but I don't think it has to happen like that. So I think you can be hurt and forgive fast or forgive quick or like work on your not work on yourself, but
So I think that,
I
and
think
I think
it's a
so.
level of I think it's a level of humility and like responsibility that you take. Like I think I take, and I think that should be taken in a lens to see like that person's side of you. So not saying you're not as hurt, but maybe you're able to look past your hurt and see the other person a little bit more. So
But that takes like I think we also have to acknowledge the fact that that takes like a really really strong
Mature.
mature person. Like you also have to consider the fact that like sometimes like you're hurting an already hurt person,
sorry guys,
and like
my
you
camera.
can't discount that.
Yep.
I think we can attempt to look at situations through a singular lens, but very rarely is it just that one instance. Like if you hurt me and it didn't resemble something that happened with my dad that I really haven't, or my grandfather, so I wanted to seem like it's a dad thing, but like, or if you hurt me and it made it or perfect relationship. Like if that makes me think about another relationship, and so then that caused, and I really didn't heal from that last relationship. Um, when you do something that resembles another thing, you're now combating your action and you're
Yeah,
also combating that other action because I really didn't heal from the other action. I just put it in the back of my head. So you're combating two things, like, and you didn't know that,
mm-hmm.
but I mean, but that's something that now you got to deal with. Unfortunately,
Yeah, I feel like I think that's accurate. And I think the way, so there's like love, and I love what the one part of love it says it takes no record of the wrong that's done, and I think that's kind of like what Jordan is getting at. Like you go through the stages of grief, but you can go through them really quickly, right?
Yeah.
It's yo, like you just said, like just the other day, and it was just like, yo, that was cuss word, cuss word, cuss word, but I'm not gonna take it personal, right? I'm gonna forgive you already, you know, because it did hurt. Like there is pain that's associated with it, but it's because of my action that you're here in the first place, and I don't know, it's a lot. Um, but then it's also like I think, but I guess so part of it, and when we talk about this stuff, and when I talk about when you forgive somebody, I think it starts with accepting responsibility.
Yes.
So I think that it's always necessary, wise, to allow someone to feel sorry for what they did and take responsibility for it before you forgive them or before you let them know you forgave them. Um, and I think that what happens too often is like we take responsibility for something that's not our fault, right? So like if my wife she reacts, she does this. I can't own that action. Even if I created a situation, if I hurt her, but in her hurt she does this, like I hurt her. I own that I hurt her, but I can't own how she's reacting to it. So I can't take responsibility in a sense for her hurting me. Like that's
I think
all.
those are also two separate instances. But I think it's important for you to also recognize the fact of that, like, I guess, and you didn't say this, and so if I'm going ahead of you, then tell me. But you also like can't say you're sorry if you haven't accepted what you've done and also made amends to fix it.
Mhm.
In my opinion, but I don't think you didn't say that you said you were sorry. You said like you did something wrong. She reacted to what you did wrong. I wonder is in that you in whatever revelation that calls for the wrong to be unveiled, if there was a apology that occurred, but the work hadn't been done to actually make the apology be like
But I think
genuinely felt as well as genuinely intended.
And I think this goes back to what you were
Go
saying
to
earlier,
there.
which is like the way you apologize. And I think that for me, I'm like the type of person who like if something happens, I'm gonna think on it. Like I hate like having to respond immediately, so I'm gonna think of it. Even if I'm gonna say sorry, it's not gonna be like an immediate sorry. It's gonna be like, all right, let me think about it. May take a couple days, may take a couple weeks, couple hours, but like eventually I'm gonna say sorry. So I think that for a person who wants to I need you to say a sorry immediately and not after I ask you to say sorry. It's like, all right, I can't win because you want the sorry immediately. You're going to ask for it immediately. Whereas I'm going to like mull it over. All right, what am I really sorry for? But then I'm going to try to understand, but why did I do it in the first place? And then I can just bring to you like, all right, like I'm really sorry for what I did. This is why I did it. This is like your portion in it. And maybe I shouldn't say that at all, but that's what I've had a tendency to do. This is your portion in it. This is mine. But yeah, I am sorry. But if it's after you said I need to say sorry, you're never going to take it authentically.
I think you should communicate why you take the time to think about it, because it could be like I waited to tell you and apologize because I was trying to get my story straight. You know what I mean? And that could be just someone's experience, and that's the reason why they think that way. Because like I said, you can't look at it as like this one incident is isolated, and as I said, I think you have to consider what that's perceived to be, what your actions are perceived to be, along with like not just the act that you did that hurt the person, but also how the information was presented to the person. Um, if you come to me telling me that like you did something wrong, I had a part in why you did that something wrong. To me, that don't really sound like you taking ownership. That sounds like I'm playing a blame game, but I'm also like I'm playing the blame game, but I'm also saying that I'm owning it. But that doesn't sound like you owned it to me. Because if I did something wrong, I'm gonna say I did this. Because like you said, you have no control over another person, how they respond.
Humility.
At the end of the day, you decided to do whatever act that you did. Whether you lied, you chose to do it. It has nothing, like, you can't blame another person for whatever they did that you feel like justified your action. At the end of the day, you still did it. And you had a choice on whether you did it or not. And so you decided to do it. So then you should, when you apologize, you have to say, I did this. I chose this because I felt this way, and I apologize for feeling that way, and I did this because I wanted to, because I felt this is what I needed in that moment.
Although it's not,
too, by the way.
I think my only thing, and this is like the only thing that for me just kind of like counters that, is like things don't, and from my opinion, like there's a condition that's created, and this could be just I don't know. There's a condition that's created, and in that condition we react, you know. But we both contribute to that condition. So even if I take full responsibility for my action, it's also, I didn't just make this action, you know, for
equal or opposite reaction.
No, not really. Okay, Newton. But it's more like there's a condition before that. Like I don't know, think of something like we're driving, right? And you were in somebody. And it could be that's real. You rear-ended somebody. That's all right, I rear-ended you. But I don't acknowledge the fact that you slammed on your brakes. Like, I mean, it's like you slammed on your brakes, which is real. That's something that really happened. Yeah, I rear-ended you. All right, my fault, 'cause I rear-ended you. But how do you ignore the fact that you slammed on your brakes?
Oh, so you're talking about, maybe I missed the part when I walked away, but we're just talking about taking responsibility for your role in it. That we're talking about?
In a situation, right? So if I do something, I take responsibility for that. But we both have to take responsibility for the conditions that created this action.
That's why I think it has to be humility on both parts. Like, as the offender and as the person who did the offense, like, you have to understand, like, this, it didn't just pop off the sky. And I think once you take that humility approach, both the offender and the offended, forgiveness.
I think that's, and I think so. I'm often a person who speaks for those who don't speak. I see what's the elephant in the room, right? So it's like, if you're like, yo, B, like, I realized that I didn't do this, but what you did hurt me. I'm like, you know what? You said what you did wrong, and I'm just gonna own exactly what I did wrong. But if you're just making it all about me and what I did wrong, it's like, yeah, but you're missing a big part of it, and that's the part that, like,
yeah, that's so interesting.
I don't know,
but this is so interesting hearing you say this, and I think this perspective is not reciprocated in, like, how you look at other people.
But I also think
we all need to hold up mirrors as we, like, talk, because
that's what I said in the beginning.
Forgiveness is an issue for all of us that we're dealing with. But
yeah, no, I agree. I think it's also.
What are you talking about?
Remember,
I don't deal forgiveness like this.
Let's not.
Excuse me.
You say I don't deal forgiveness like this?
Can I say one thing? Before we go into the specific case in which we're talking about forgiveness,
yes, please. Okay.
I think it's important to realize that though everybody has a role in a situation, timing is really important. While they're trying to forgive you, so you did the offense. Yes, they had a role in it, but when they're in the process of forgiving, it's not the time to be pointing out, oh, this was your role in it. Like, let's get to the point where they've forgiven you and you guys are moving past it, and where everybody's whole and everybody's peaceful and everybody's, like, of the right mind. Okay, then let's talk about the situation, about what happened on both sides, so that it doesn't happen again.
It's already over at that point. Why bring it up then?
I don't think I think once we get to the point where we over the situation and we're talking about how we got here, don't if you did something to me, don't be pulling out how I'm bad at this and I'm bad at that, because now I'm getting defensive. And now we're really not
conversation you should have had before the offense.
Huh?
And the only reason why you're doing this is to take off the pressure from yourself, though. That's
No, it's
also
not.
No,
No,
no, no,
I
no,
don't
no, no,
agree
no,
with
no,
that.
no,
It
no,
is.
no.
I don't believe
I
that.
don't think.
Sometimes it is though.
I think if you really want somebody
It
to
is. Like, let's just be
not say,
honest.
"Well, you caused me to do this." That's not. A
It's not that. It's the to me it's the reality. Like, let's be
No, no,
real here, and that's
no,
what I get to.
it
Right
is
then.
reality, but every reality does not need to be spoken of at all times.
Absolutely, I
No,
can
you
get
can
with
have
that.
a
I can get with that.
conversation. You can
No.
have a conversation, but you
Because
can have a
if-
conversation
Y'all, our
after.
time is up.
Yeah.
Hey man,
Thank you, Juice. Thank you.
come
Go, let's finish this
on.
conversation.
No, what is it called? Sergeant of Arms.
I think so. So one thing I get to, and this is that everything that you think doesn't have to be spoken. And even if you think it and it's true, it doesn't have to be spoken by you. And those are two things that I really think, and those are hard for me. Because there's a lot of times like I feel like if I'm not saying it, they're never going to be spoken. And if I'm not saying them now, they're never going to be spoken. So it's like I just like, all right, I got to say them now, and I have to say them because if I don't, they're never going to be said. And that's something I realize I do have to do better with. But
you gotta let everybody go through the process individually.
yes,
Because you telling somebody that they did something wrong doesn't mean that they're gonna own it, understand it, and change from it. You need to let them recognize what wrong they did.
Yeah, there's no point in telling the truth if it's gonna fall on deaf ears. That you're just wasting your breath.
you do it just because you said that you were going to do it, or you're a true person. But I absolutely agree.
So
Amen.
you just call yourself.
Tell the truth because you're supposed to.
Tell the truth at all times.
I think Randall and Beth do that.
And
Who
I
do?
think that's important to be
And
consistent.
you're trying to duplicate their relationship because I don't even want that relationship. If I'm
Who do that?
Wait,
I love Randall and Beth.
I love them, but I don't.
Who's Randall and Beth? I don't know them.
This is us.
Oh, okay.
Since I look like him,
I
I feel
don't know
like
if I want-
there's definitely things in their relationship I want to be like. They say I look like him. I don't think so. Thank you, Randy, for giving me that face because I do not look like him. But everybody,
I think there's moments of that I definitely love about the relationship. I admire things about
There's
it.
parts of it, but I would not say I want to mirror their relationship at all.
As we conclude,
as you conclude, I think that forgiveness is this like journey, but also bearing with someone who's forgiving you is also a journey, and I am suffering through that right now, with no idea when the end is, or if there's going to be an end to the suffering or an end to the relationship. I have no idea. It's really easy for me to just like give up and not leave because I feel like it's going that way anyway. But I think that it's the loving thing to do is to bear and to not take things personal, as we said. So this is all about me today, and I hope that someone gained something from it. I'll be really honest, really transparent. But in this process, this walk of suffering, I think it's important that we have moments where they're just about us, just because if we are people, we have selves, and if we disregard ourselves, then we'll never be good for anything.
I agree.
Yeah.
Amen.
So episode 10 of Suffering Well. We love you. We will post this one for sure. So stay tuned. Wakanda.
Wakanda forever. That's fine, Jordan Randy. Haters.
All of our natural hair too. Woo woo.
Yes.
Welcome
All
to
right,
Wakanda.
love you guys.
I love you.